Can you hear me?
I can. And
Good.
see,
First time.
there you go.
Yeah, good.
What have you been up to?
Just getting ready for World Supers.
Ah, you're down. So you're down at Cow.
I'm at home at the moment. Um, if we if we go, oh, I flipped my camera. There, you look down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's the truck. Yeah.
Yeah, ready to go. Yeah. So,
Very,
like basically, as soon as I finish this conversation with you, I'm off. I'm off to the track, going to World Supers, and yeah, see how the port bike guys go.
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
What are you doing down there specifically? I know, you like to attend it, but you're taking the truck down as well.
Yeah, taking it. So we're supporting the port bike team this year.
Yeah.
So I spent the last day or yesterday um, filling the truck with all their gear and bikes and scooters, and it's a lot more stuff than I. It's just another school for me.
Lucky you got a double decker.
Yeah, spend the day packing the truck to go drive to Melbourne or to Phillip Island. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be good. Yeah, it should be fun. Should be heaps of fun.
You do a
So
few trips down there. Like, you like driving that truck?
I love it. It's like a sports car, George. It's unreal. Yeah, yeah, it's great.
I
I
mean, it is
really do.
pretty cool. I mean, I've had the pleasure of driving it once. It's
We need to get you in the seat more often, George.
yeah,
I
no.
mean, I say I love it, but I'm still sick of it.
Well, it's still a logistical task, isn't it?
I'm not like you guys, the FIFO coach team. I'm the, Dido, drive in, drive out.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
you must have done. How many kilometers you reckon?
Ah, I can tell you how many kilometers I've done in that truck. I've done 59,000 in
Wow,
that truck since we got it. Yeah.
that's a
So,
short period of time too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
I know the east coast of Australia pretty well. Let's put it that way. Well, I know the Hume Highway really well, and I know the road up to Morgan Park pretty well. So,
Yeah, wait till you whack Mountain Park at Townsville and Hidden Valley into your right.
yeah.
Hey?
Well, we went to Mallowar last year, and I didn't get to drive it last year. Personal stuff going on with my mum, but
Yeah, yeah.
made it
Hey,
over there.
I do have to ask you because I was bloody envious. I saw those photos sent through riding the R1300 GS.
Yeah, it was good. It took a little bit of time to get used to actually, because it's got the full auto. It's got no clutch lever. So that was kind of weird.
What? Just
Um,
it's not like the E clutch of Honda. This is just an automatic motorcycle, is it?
I think it's the E clutch. I don't know. It has no clutch lever, but still has the gear shifter. So it's like quick shift.
Yeah.
Um, but if you put it in like drive, it'll change all the gears for you. Like just do everything. But then you can put it in manual mode where you just shift like quick shift. But pulling up, like if you pull up at the lights in third gear, it automatically puts it in first when you take off and stuff like that. So
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
When I first got it, it was in kind of like nano mode, and it was awful. Like it would change gears too quickly. I wasn't used to it. But once I got it in like dynamic pro mode and messed around with some of the settings, yeah, it was pretty fun. It's a big bike though.
yeah, they're
I think,
monsters.
yeah, yeah.
Is
I
that,
think personally, I prefer the R1300 GS as opposed to the GSA,
yeah.
just the sheer size of it. But I mean, automatic like I'm like you from the waist down, George. I'm short, got short legs.
And who are you like from the waist up?
Probably Adam Raff.
That's so funny. You like
Sitting down, we're probably the same height, me and Adam.
So you're like a half giant, half midget.
Yeah. Out of proportion.
Yeah.
So for me, like the thing where it drops down the 25 mil at the lights,
Yeah.
as soon as you pull up, it drops down. It makes it a lot more comfortable. But
Really?
yeah, like the technology in it, collision avoidance and all that sort of stuff. It's unreal. So
We had this question like there's two things comes up here. One relates to a conversation I had with Chappie the other day about all this technology. You got when you have a bike that does collision avoidance and all of this sort of stuff, it's going to apply brakes, it's going to decelerate the motorcycle. If we ride around on bikes, you're kind of used to steering and taking action to slow the bike. So you kind of anticipate all of the forces that go with that. What's it like on a bike like that where you're steering and then this thing applies the brakes or slows the bike? You're not
so
actually doing it.
the only issue that I kind of had was on the first couple of days when I was riding it, when I was just kind of getting used to it, and it was in its like nano mode. Uh, it would change gears like while you're leant over in a corner, and that was kind of bit like
Yeah, right.
so you'd roll into a corner, you give a bit of throttle, and and then it'd just you're speeding up. Like, let me change gears up for you where you wanted to kind of hold that gear a little bit longer. But once I put it in dynamic mode and it dynamic pro and it was holding like would hold the gears a lot longer. I never really ran into that problem, but yeah, on that first couple of days, it was like, not so sure I like that.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it'd be in sixth gear, like really quick. Um, and with those things, it doesn't really matter what gear you're in. You just roll the throttle on. They got so much torque, it doesn't care.
Yeah.
But then one of the other things I did realize over time is that if you were in the auto mode and you changed gears, it would hold that gear for quite a bit of time. So you could ride around in auto mode, change the gears manually, and it wouldn't sort of override it for 10 or 15 seconds. So it was just one of those things. You just once you adapted to it, it was no
Used to it, yeah.
big deal at all. It was just that learning curve. But yeah, once I got used to it, yeah, it was unreal. Did good wheelies.
They got when we went to Thailand with Aaron and did
Yep.
that tour over there, um, they they hired a number of bikes for us, right? And the bike we got was the CB 650R with the E clutch.
Yep.
And the e-clutch is not an automatic, but it's like a electronic clutch that does the clutch activation for it, and it kind of operates like a quick shifter right down to the lights. But it's not in change gears for you.
Did it have a clutch lever?
It did, and that was
Yeah.
that's the question I had for you because when I put it in e-clutch mode, right, then you don't need to touch the clutch lever at all. But when it came to doing a U-turn, it was really, really awkward. And then
No.
it took me a few turns to work out that you can pull the clutch in and disengage the e-clutch temporarily. What's this thing like in automatic like that doing a U-turn?
It didn't. It was seamless. Like it never like the thought never even occurred to me that could possibly be difficult. Let's put it that way. Like it
Wow.
just like I did a few tight turns on it, like from a stop U turns, and it was just never ever an issue at all. Like I never really thought about, oh, this is a bit awkward or anything. It's like you literally from a standstill give it a little bit of throttle and it just creep the clutch on and it would just deal with it. It was yeah, never even occurred to me until you asked the question, but no, had no problem with it
Yeah, wow.
whatsoever. It was really good.
You've been
Yeah.
you've been trying a few different things of late that are new. Like you rode number three, which had the custom cockpit tank extender on
Yes.
there.
Yes,
What do you think
George.
about that?
Ah, well, I kind of might have been proven wrong in my original assessment.
Because I think you quote
Uh,
unquote, I think you said I didn't
this sucks.
originally like it. This sucks, and then said don't tell anyone, but I think I like it.
Yeah, no, I did actually. It
Mm,
was just so easy to lock onto the bike.
mm,
Like the lock on was just insane. Like you didn't even think like like I thought about it since. I'd be in a corner quite often. I'd be in a corner, like take corporate at Sydney is a classic one. So often I get halfway through there and I feel that the bike's not great, and
Yeah.
I realise that I'm just not locked on properly at all.
Yeah.
It's one of those corners I get a little bit lazy on.
Oh, this is
With my
one under the bridge, isn't it?
Yeah.
You turn
Turn we call it
eight,
turn eight.
nine.
I don't know what they call it, Sydney. Yeah.
They call that little bend before it a turn.
I just call it corporate because everyone knows what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the left-hander there. So you reckon better lock on through there?
Oh well, I don't know. I haven't ridden that particular corner with that
Right.
tank thing, but that's just one of those classic corners for me where I get halfway through it and I feel the bike's a little bit unstable, and I go, "Oh, lock on. What are you doing? Lock
Yeah.
onto the bike." And as soon as I do and like release the pressure off the bar, the bike just tracks through there really nicely.
Because
Um,
it's like a sharp turn. It's like, you know what I mean? It's not like a right angle turn where you come up to it and you kind of position for it. It
yeah.
can be lazy on that turn a little bit.
So the one corner at Broadford, which is where I rode with that thing, where I kind of felt it was a similar sort of laziness on my behalf, would be like that turn 7, the last one onto the
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah.
You sort of tip it in, and if you're not locked on real well, because it's got that, it feels like it's off camber because it's like a rising turn.
Mm.
Um, if you're a bit lazy with your lock on, then the bike didn't feel great, and it just sort of robbed you of a bit of drive because you're a bit nervous on the throttle.
Yeah.
Whereas that was the thing. I was like, actually, I can be lazy and still be like super locked onto the bike, and I just felt that the bike was way more stable because of my lock on was so good.
Yeah. I got I got one.
Yeah, and it keeps you off the tank. Like,
Yeah, right.
you can have your nether regions push right up onto that tank thing, and you're still quite a long way from the tank. So that's where you get this really good lock on from.
Yeah.
You never slide forward to a point where it's sort of using the inside, the top of your thigh
Yeah.
instead of the whole thigh. So yeah.
They only had them for the late model bikes, and anyway, they ended up scanning one of the earlier BMWs, and I got one of those for them for my bike. I went for a
Yep.
ride the other day, and I think it's even better.
Yeah, right.
It's
On
just
the
like,
older on the 2018 type model.
yeah, correct, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm blown away
See,
by actually how good it is.
I found the seating position on that. It took me a long time to get used to the 2020 and beyond
Yeah.
with the seating, because the seating position's a bit higher, and I always felt that I had a better lock on my 2018 than I did on my 2021. So
I would agree. I reckon
yeah,
it's easier against the natural tank to lock onto my bike, which is the early one.
yeah.
Which
Then the newer ones,
correct.
yeah.
It's
I don't know.
impossible without the tank grip.
No, you can't do it. No, that's right. The new one, it's like when we got those fit coach bikes last year, and there was like one school where we only had like 3 bikes with
I remember.
tank grip on it. Sorry about that, guys.
I remember it was
Yeah,
because everyone talked about it. Do you
yeah. Well,
do you ever make suggestions? I mean, you got a foot in the door with BMW. Do you ever make suggestions about stuff like that, like tank shape or anything? Because it always,
um,
I wonder why they don't go down the pathway of making a tank more like the Aprilia RSV4.
ugh,
No, but the
they're
tank, just the
they're
tank.
awful. They're awful. They're too narrow, George.
No, but you know what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
any of them. The Ducati Supersport has got
Well,
that shape. It's they got that lip on the top.
yeah, the lip is good. I just find that the Ducati, like the Italian bikes in general, the tank is too narrow, right where
Yeah,
you're trying to lock on,
I'd agree, but it's
and
that
it
lip.
encourages you end up too far off the bike,
Yeah,
which is, I don't know, it's horses, horses
yeah,
for courses, they say.
yeah.
But for me, I love the Beamer. The shape of the tank on the Beamer. The R1's pretty similar, I find. The Suzuki's awful because it goes into it's actually the the point where you lock on is inverted. So it's fat at the bottom and thin at the top, so it's kind of weird. But
That looks good.
yeah, it looks good, but it's not very practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's
Anyway.
happening in 2025 for California Superbike School?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're a bit late this year. I was thinking about that. Like normally we talk before the season started, but we had a real early start in Broadford,
Yeah.
which was possibly a little bit quiet, but still very successful school. China this year, so that's a new one on the map. And we're working. We've got a new thing. We've been approached by a Taiwanese race school to do some coaching over there for the Taiwanese series. So that's pretty good. Step in the door into more training in Asia, which we do a little bit of, and we'd like to expand the Asia side of things. So they have a thing called the RDNA Cup over there, and the last two winners of the RDNA Cup were both students from our Taiwanese schools. So they recognise the quality of the riding. So they approached us through the Taiwanese promoter, Gina and Victor, and yeah, so we're running a program with them this year. So a few coaches will be going over mid-year, and then sort of later in the year to do the final pick for their next year's squad. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Wow. Well, is that all going to be down at one track like Peng Bay, or
Well, it's
multiple
actually
tracks there?
they're going to be riding on R15s, I think. So they're going to be doing it. They're going to be doing it at a go-kart track to begin with.
All right. So this is like
Yeah.
junior race.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's like the Oceania Cup, like those feeder things it's a feeder for the Asia Talent Cup,
Right.
basically, yeah. So it's Taiwan's sort of local feeder series. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
You said China. Have we ever been to China in the past?
I don't know.
I get a
No idea.
feeling.
I
get a
think
feeling
once, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, not since we took over the business. This is our first foray into China.
Yeah.
So that they did a big promotion. They had a like a motorsport conference thing there last year. So they did a lot of promotion, got a lot of interest. So yeah, we're off to China in either May or June. They still haven't. Oh, June, I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Winter here.
Not sure.
Well, we're on a break.
Sometime in the future.
We're generally on a break here.
Yeah, in our winter break. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. What else?
I'm off to the US this year for the first time, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Just on a personal note, back to Taiwan. We've got the Philippines again. I'm going to possibly try and do some sort of recon into maybe going back to Thailand. So we'll see. Watch this space. But as far as the Australian schools, we're back in South Australia again this year. Got quite a bit of interest. Spoken to a few people that were there last year, and they're been promoting it themselves on our behalf, which is great.
This is out at Malala.
Yeah, yep.
What did
you going to that one?
I am actually.
Oh, love it.
Well, I haven't been there, but
yeah, it's a great little track.
Yeah, it prompts a question. Because people have asked me why Malala and not the Bend.
Well, to be perfectly honest, number one is price.
The Bend
based on it's a massive risk to go directly to the Bend.
Yeah.
When you haven't run courses in a state before, we did really well with the numbers that we got in Malala last year because we were able to mitigate a lot of cost by having a cheap track. And to be perfectly honest, it's a similar sort of situation to like Morgan Park and Broadford, where it's a smaller country track that is perfect for training. It's just really, really good. You get to spend a lot of time with your students. It's like it's easy for the coaches. It's easy for the students. They get that repetition stuff that they don't get at the beginning, the bigger tracks. Yeah, and until we can sort of get the 70 students a day type numbers and really get an interest within Adelaide for the school, it's just not economically viable to go to somewhere like the Bend. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the future plan. Like that's obviously what we ultimately want to do.
Yeah.
We always want to be running the bigger schools if we can. But yeah, when you're paying big money per day to hire the track, it's just not economically viable when you're only getting 40 students a day. So
I don't think people realize it's such a logistical exercise with the school. I mean, you're flying people in as well. You got me coming from North Queensland, and then you're moving vehicles and bikes, and you cart all of those bikes and the hire fleet around. It's a pretty big logistical exercise.
it is. I mean, I think I've said it before. It's one of those things I kind of underestimated. The amount of preparation time. Just it's even the little things. I'm constantly getting in trouble from the support staff because I haven't printed enough track maps or whatever. Like you think you've done enough, and then you get on the day, it's like, ooh, whoops. But it's all learning.
Yeah.
So I used to print 100 per day, and now I print 150. It's just that sort of stuff. There's the little things that the small oversights. But I think hopefully people will support the fact that I'm getting there. It's only 3 years.
You got it's a funny scenario, isn't it? Because you're one of the owners of the business, and then you come along to the school as a coach, and then you've got Dave and Mark, as chief ride coach, deputy chief ride coach.
Yep.
It's like 1 minute you're the boss, next minute you're the subordinate. How's that work?
I love it. It's the best part of the whole thing for me is like I rock up, we basically unpack the truck and then my job's over. I just get told what to do from that point on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the occasional thing that goes on within the school where you got to make an executive decision, but basically, I'm just a, pleb coach that, plugging away on my own stuff. And that's the part of it that I love because I can just forget about it for the 2 or 3 days that we're there, depending on where the school's at and what we're doing. Just concentrate on my students and my own personal development and forget about all the background stuff. For me, it's it's like a holiday from the week of preparation.
Yeah. That shift to Dave, generally Dave and Joe and Casey. Oh my God.
That's when their work starts. I mean, Dave does quite a bit in the background. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. That is one job I would never want.
Chief ride coach?
No, ever. It's got to be the toughest job. The variability that they get hit with. Like I see Dave, man, he put some hours into the background of that, just trying to organise stuff, and then next day it changes.
Look, from memory, Dave didn't have any hair before he was the chief ride coach, but he's definitely not growing it back.
Yeah, shout out to Dave.
Yeah,
he's a godsend, I tell you.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah. Any other plans around different tracks in Australia, or pretty much standard?
We're kind of waiting for that Townsville track to get its stuff together.
Yeah.
Until they've got somewhere suitable for us to run classrooms and stuff like that. It kind of, because of the distance involved, it kind of rules out going up to Darwin as well, because we'd want to do those two as a single trip. Just the expense of just going to Darwin on its own is just it's hectic. I'd like to see what's going on down in Tasmania. I just came back from a holiday down there, and it'd be nice to go and spend some time down there. The roads are insane, so
yeah, it's a great place. Like it's motorbike heaven.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
it's
didn't. You just
like
don't realize how small it is, though.
yeah,
Like,
you can drive around it in a pretty short
yeah,
time. It's like
yeah,
I always liken it to New Zealand. It's like the South Island of New Zealand in some ways.
yeah, yeah. The roads there are adventure bike friendly. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it used to be like a hidden gem, but everyone knows about it now.
Yeah, still not many people. Still only 500,000 people in the whole of Tasmania. So
Yeah, wow.
it's 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 not crowded down there. That's for sure. I mean, me and Ian just spent a week down there. We did some drives, and we'd go 45 minutes without seeing another car. Like just thinking, wow, we sure are motorbikes. We were in a camper van at the time, but yeah, some of the roads we rode down were insane. So
Yeah.
drove, I should say. Yeah. So I'd like to investigate because I believe there is a track down there.
Was
Um,
there
I don't know. It
up in
starts.
Plains or there is yeah there's a track that they race supercars at.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. I think it starts with B. No idea.
Yeah,
No, I'd only be guessing.
yeah. So what's happening to the bike fleet? It's still a fleet of
New bikes
vehicles.
this year. Ooh,
Ooh,
20. We're getting to 2025 soon for the coach fleet. I'll be swapping out our hire fleet very, very soon as well. First one of those has gone back to Chris to be put into street fairing so we can sell it off. So we'll be selling off our hire fleet this year, replacing them with 2025s as soon as we can get an allocation from BMW. As you can imagine, with a new model coming out,
mm,
it's hard to get bikes unless you order like 10 of them. We can't do that. So
mm.
as we get them, we'll sell them off. But yeah, that's the big plan for this year is full swap out of coach and hire fleet. So
Okay.
yeah,
So
be
there's
looking forward.
there'll be a run-in day coming up.
Yes, there will.
I was talking to Mark the other day, and we both agree it's the most fun you can have on two wheels.
Yeah, it's funny like
Yeah.
when you're restricted to 199 kilometers an hour and you're hitting that before you even get to the first bridge at Phillip Island. You come off turn 12, roll throttle on, and you're like, oh,
Well, you lean it over in the middle of turn 12 and the because of that,
it,
it's in
yeah,
the rev limiter and it starts to valve. What are the,
yeah,
rev limiter kicks in the middle of the
yeah,
corner.
yeah. So the ride down the straight um, it's pretty funny. Like just everyone goes flying by, and you get what by halfway through turn, Stoner, you're back on them.
Yeah. But isn't it
But
funny?
it just lends itself to a couple of things: working on your own riding, like working on accuracy, like being as accurate as you can, carrying a little bit of extra corner speed because you know to make up for the fact that you've gone so slow down the straight. And then you're out there riding with a bunch of your mates that you know you get to if you if you got a couple of coaches on track, you get to coach each other, and which is an opportunity we don't usually get at the school. Sometimes we get to have a little bit of a run with another coach, but yeah, it's a full day of just you know working on yourself, working on each other, and just trying to have as much fun as you can on something that's restricting the amount of fun you can have.
It's
So,
so funny that you go down the straight at Phillip Island and you're doing 200 or 199 kilometers an hour and you complain because it's too slow. Isn't that
yeah,
weird?
yeah.
Like that 200 kilometers an hour seems slow.
Well, but the reality of it though is that I mean, there's only one place on the track where you're in sixth gear fully pinned going more than 200 k's an hour.
Yeah.
So the rest of the track, you can pretty much do it exactly the same speed. You just got to manage like like short shifting and stuff like that. Like you just change a bit earlier. But that's what it's all about. It's like being like just work on being accurate.
Mm.
Carrying a little bit of extra entry speed and seeing if you can carry that through the corner and get on the throttle a little bit earlier. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, you got all the time in the world to think about what you want to do on the next lap while you're going down the straight. You can write a novel about what you're going to do on that lap as you go down the main straight.
It's
either at
funny.
Sydney or yeah.
It's funny you used the word accuracy a few times. We just Chappie and I just did a podcast on accuracy. It's such a big deal, you know.
Well,
What the-
yeah. So I've been working, as you know, I've been working on my own riding for you know basically since I became a coach,
Mm,
and my overall speed dropped off as I started to work on my own riding. Like I'm a firm believer that you can't work on your riding when you're riding at 100% because there's nothing left over. Like you're on the edge, so you got to take a little bit of pace and intensity out of it, so you can actually think about what you're doing and the actually feel what happens to the bike as you roll the throttle on, all that stuff. When you're working on body position, it you know you need to feel the difference of what you're doing, connection to the bike. How does that differ? So as I spent a long time just working on riding, and one of the big key moments for me was I was doing a lot of riding with Ian on the 310s. And he just said, well, do you want to be fast or do you want to be accurate? And I was like, I want to be accurate. He's like, yeah, because if you're accurate, you can add speed. But if you're riding around at your limit and you're not making the track as short as possible or whatever by being accurate and having the bike exactly where you want it to be. And when we talk about accurate, we're talking millimeters of where you want the tire to be on the track.
mm.
And just working on that. I worked on that for a long, long time. And one day I was like, actually, you know what? I'm pretty accurate. I'm going to add some speed to this. And I was amazed at how easy it was to go so much faster than what I had been, just purely because, I could put the bike wherever I wanted it to be.
Mm.
And I knew where I wanted it to be before I got there. So,
But that's one of the mistakes, isn't it? People come along and they go out and they got to ride flat out. They think by, pushing the limits and all that, that's going to be faster at the end of the day. Well, not necessarily, like you say, if you're not accurate and, technique's starting to wane, then you can't add speed to it without adding risk.
we see it at the school all the time as coaches. We have a student that does a particular drill and they have a big win with it,
Mm.
and it just improves everything about their riding. And it let's say they're doing it like session 3 of the day, so they still got some sort of restriction on the gears and brakes, so they're forced to go a little bit slower, and you just like super chuffed about the win that they have. And then you say to them, right, all gears, no brakes, and they go flat out, and all the old habits just creep straight back in, and they're back where they started.
Yeah.
And it's the same with us. Our our ability to change the way we ride if we go back to full pace. It just doesn't happen. You need to. I was talking to Case about this yesterday because I got ribbed by him and a whole bunch of other people for a long time about telling him to slow down to go faster, kind of thing. And we were talking, slowing down isn't necessarily the right words. It's taking the intensity out of what you're doing and probably slowing down the thought process and the like the actual actions. You can go fast by having a slow throttle roll on. You can probably go faster by slowing down your roll on, but doing it earlier than waiting till you're picking the bike up and just smashing the throttle all the way to the end. So there was that. We had this conversation yesterday about how slowing down isn't necessarily speed. It's like everything else.
Mm.
If that makes any sense to you or anyone else listening to this.
No, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It's that you want people to, if they're going to develop and enhance their riding, and even Mike Jones does this, right? Someone of his ability, ride at a pace where you can work on things and think about things and change things and even ingrain new new things that you wouldn't do naturally, because that's where the advancement comes from, doesn't it? But if
Yeah,
it's going to do the same old, same old.
I'll just have to. My headphones are complaining at me about their battery, so I might have to do a headphone swap in a minute.
Okay. Um, I did. Well, how's the calendar looking in terms of events and spots and things like that at this point?
Sydney's pretty much booked out for our one in in March.
Yep.
Um, similar to Phillip Island, I believe from the New Zealand guys that they're not trucking too badly. Um, so
So there's spots
yeah,
kind of moving towards the
it's the typical thing that we see, George, where you know, like April won't have a huge amount of bookings until like the Sydney April event won't have a huge amount of bookings until the the March ones over because you got a lot of people on the waiting list hoping to get into the school
right.
sooner. So they'll hold off on, if someone wants to do a level one, they'll sit on the waiting list and they'll hold off booking level one in April because they're hoping to get in March. And then as soon as that event's over, they all book. So it's kind of like level four is pretty much as per usual booked out almost for every track for the entire year because they're our dedicated students and friends that come along to every school. So there's always a demand from level four, and that's generally a pretty good indicator of how well the school's going to sell for the year. If level four in Phillip Island in November is sold out in January, it's a pretty good indicator that the rest of the levels are going to go pretty well. So yeah, it
Um,
looks good. It looks good.
cool. If people want to go and have a look at the what's available, where the events are, where do they go? Just remind us.
So just go on the website, superbikeschool.com.au, and then there's a big round circle that says book now, which takes you to our booking portal. And then it'll show every single event for all levels, and it'll actually tell you whether it's sold out. If it's sold out, join the waiting list. We do have a lot of people that, people have lives and things happen and they have to change dates or drop out altogether or whatever. So getting on the wait list is definitely worthwhile, especially for the people that want to do level four or, they log on, and we get this question quite a lot through the website chat. I want to do level four, but it looks like you sold out for the whole year. And I tell them just jump on the wait list because quite often, you know, the numbers that we're restricted to when we first post a course, that changes. And one of the levels that we can definitely fill up vacant spots with is level four. So generally the biggest demand is for level one and level four. So if we don't sell all the level two spots, we can fill them up with people that want to do level four. So I always say just jump on the wait list. You never know what's going to happen. And conversely, if someone books into, is on the wait list for a level one, and they end up doing it, even though that they've booked, a level one later in the year, we can always move them to another level. Like it's not lost. So it's pretty flexible in the back end. We have certain numbers for each level that we sort of adhere to begin with, and then we make Dave's life a nightmare by moving them all around.
So you're the cause.
Sorry, Dave. Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
I had a question the other day from someone about he's a bigger guy. You have a pretty broad range of high gear available for people.
yeah. So I think our smallest suit, we got a tiny little suit for the petite little girl, all the way up to size 64 for guys. Oh, here we go.
He's back.
Quick change there. He's back.
That was it's like a rehearsed change. It's like a pit
Yeah,
stop.
yeah, 3.4 seconds. Yeah, it's mind-boggling that in the time it took me to change my headphones, they can change four tires on a Formula One car and
Yeah.
get it out of the pits. Like
And in
that's
fact, they
insane.
used to refuel them in that time too, weren't
Yeah, true. Yeah,
they? Yeah.
yeah. Um,
You were talking about sizes of high gear. Like I said, I had the question for
yes.
last.
So yeah, we go from like a 42, I think, all the way up to a 64. So, and we just got a whole bunch of new stuff. So some of the leathers were getting a little bit tired, and then we had that incident where someone decided they wanted them more than we did and
Yeah.
lost a whole bunch. Yeah, so yeah, we got a whole bunch of new high leathers. So yeah, up all the way up to 64. We're going to be getting some more of the bigger sizes because we're finding that they are the ones that are starting to run out,
Yeah.
which is it's an indictment on the Australian population. So
Yeah. The same in America.
yeah,
Yes.
but yeah, no, we did we increased the amount of leathers that we had by probably 10 extra last year. So yeah, we got a really good range. We don't struggle so much. The end of last year is what we had previously. So
Yeah. And the one other thing worth mentioning too is you've got not only have you got S1000 double Rs in the
yep.
higher fleet, you have other bikes in the higher fleet.
Yeah, we got the single R for people that don't want to ride a sports bike and want something a little bit more comfortable. For what we do, I mean, I love riding the single R.
I,
It's so easy. The handlebars are so wide. It's like having power steering on your bike.
I did three. I know last year I did 3 sessions there without a student at Broadford. Remember we had that day where we worked on just the coaches. It was a coach
Yep,
day. And
yep.
I did 3 sessions on that R. That was my favorite ride.
Yeah, yeah, they're pretty fun. Well, my favourite ride is the 310, as you know. Like every opportunity I get, I'm riding around on the 310 because it goes back to that thing of like you have to be accurate. You have to carry corner speed. You got to get on the throttle. It's just such a good training platform, that 310, because to get a lot out of it, you have to be just that little bit more, but it's also a little bit more forgiving as well. If you are a little bit too early on the throttle, it's not going to buck you off or, wash out the front end because it unloads like it does on 1,000. So yeah, I find I definitely push myself a lot harder on the 310 than I do on the S1000. But then, you do a whole bunch of laps on the 310, get back on the 1,000, you're like, holy wow, it's like it just makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, people always ask me, what do I recommend? And I always say, hey, if you're going to do level one, do the 310. It gives you a lot of time to think about what you're actually doing and what effect, what you do has on the bike. You can feel it. And yeah, you can, I mean, it's slower, which gives you more time, but it feels the same. I don't know. It's hard to describe. You know, it's just a better training platform, to be honest.
I get
It's
I
more
get
forgiving.
I get this thing because I got the double R here, which is an absolute weapon, and
Yep.
got the 450 motard. So of those two bikes, I get more out of riding the motard up the range because
Yeah.
there's a couple of things that happen. One is um, you're not relying on power so much, so you can carry corner speed into the corner in a different way. You think about it more. But the other interesting thing is I'm thinking more about the timing of throttle roll on, whereas I don't
Yeah.
think about it. Well, I wasn't thinking about it the same way. 1,000. And I reckon it's actually it stimulates thinking on the smaller bikes that you don't necessarily have, and you can bypass on the big bikes.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny because like you generally carry more corner speed on the little bike but it feels like you got more time to think about stuff. It's a weird thing.
Well, you know, they do
Yeah,
like for the
yeah,
same.
yeah. There's my current. There's my.
Yeah.
So I got the little Grom S1000 and two DRs, and the one that I like to ride more than anything else is the DR.
Really?
Yeah,
You just leave
yeah.
them out in the driveway?
They're all got trackers in them.
Hilarious. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they got to be readily accessible depending on what your mood is at the time.
yeah, makes
Uh,
sense.
So if I'm just going up to the shops,
Yeah.
I'll jump on the Grom just for a bit of a laugh, or if I'm going to the fire station, I'll ride down on that because yeah,
Yep.
it's fun.
Why would you go to the fire station?
Sorry,
Why do you go to the fire station?
I'm a volunteer bush firefighter.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
goes to
yeah,
the fire station randomly?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, yeah, yeah. It's just something I do.
Yeah, go to
It's
the.
where all the cool kids hang out, George. So
Um,
quite often get calls, and it's easy to just jump on the Grom and race down there and get in the truck and out the door pretty quick, rather than running across the road to the car. It all depends, but yeah.
you're headed down to the island for World Superbike. I did you see the lap times they were doing? They're doing 1:28s.
Yeah,
You believe?
yeah, yeah. It's like the ASBK guys are almost as fast. Like it's crazy that the lap time. I don't know if it's a new surface or I don't know. I don't know but yeah, it's.
That's
I,
ridiculous.
I heard I heard that they might be doing a flag to flag thing where
They are.
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah,
Got to change tires between lap 9 and lap 11.
right.
Yeah, they forced it.
Well,
Yeah.
tell me that's not going to bring the lap times down. No tire conservation. You're
Yeah,
all going to go
yeah,
like
true.
scalded cats.
Be out there on SC zeros, just flogging them.
Yeah, yeah,
At that
yeah,
time, like 1:28. So I think I read somewhere someone's riding a Triumph 765,
yeah.
doing low 130s.
Well, I heard someone on an MV, I think, as well. Yeah,
Crazy.
crazy times.
Yeah.
Like,
Speaking
yeah,
of speaking of World Superbike, what's your prediction for the season?
oh, gotta go with
Pick the
top rack
podium.
again.
Okay, so top rack first.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which podium. There's multiple
The
podiums in a weekend.
yeah, the end
Oh,
of the
the end
year.
of the
End
year.
of the year, top rack.
Oh,
So you're going to go with top rack first. Who's going to come second?
I mean, you got to like the way Bulliger was riding last year. You'd be crazy not to pick between the two of them. Yeah,
Well, he's the fastest time there at the moment, or was
yeah,
last I looked, and Ian only second.
yeah, yeah. Look, that's. I mean, that's another thing. Like Ian Oney, second season in the paddock. He was always a quality rider.
Yeah.
Um, you can only sort of. I don't know. It's too hard. It's so like it's such a hard one because they changed the rules for certain teams halfway through the year, and they're going too quick, so we're going to restrict them on revs and all this sort of stuff that they do in World Supers. It's really difficult. Um, I'm sure that there'll be some restriction on the BMW because they won last year.
Mm.
You know, which is I don't know. In some ways, I find it a little bit disappointing the way that World Supers do that because if you look at everyone else riding on a BMW, it's pretty evident that the reason why that bike won was the guy that was sitting on it. Like, whereas you could make an argument the opposite way for the Ducati, like
Mm.
across the board, the Ducatis are like super fast and just you have a slightly better rider on a super fast bike and they're going to do well.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm kind of have a bit of a mixed emotion about the way they like. It's great for fairness, but is it actually always fair?
I think it's stupid, like just let them
Yeah,
catch up rather than pull the front one back. Just let the others catch up because they will. You know,
yeah,
they'll- you look at they'll innovate with things. Look at Moto with their active aero and
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's going to be interesting as well, isn't it?
yeah.
The Bermuda.
MotoGP, what's your prediction
Oh,
for the three?
please. As if there's going to be anyone other than Mark Marquez.
I think well, everyone so far has backed Mark Marquez that I've asked.
Like,
Mm.
like he took some time. Like, he took his time. I was actually surprised at how long it took him um to sort of become consistently good on the Ducati.
Mm.
But he did what he said. He's like, I'm taking my time. He said it from the beginning. I'm just going to take my time. I'm not gonna
We did.
try and go out there and do what he did to himself in 2020 and destroy the entire season trying too hard. But they got to Phillip Island and he celebrated the win as soon as the bloody lights went out. Did a burnout on the start finish line.
That's right.
Like, came back and won it. It's like,
True.
you know, I don't think there's too many riders in the field that can do that, like on a year-old bike.
Mm.
When all the other riders in the field are like, oh God, he's back. Whoops.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
there's
he's
definitely.
arguably on the best bike in the paddock. You know, so
Uh,
pretty sharp with Jack Miller doing so well on the Yamaha.
yeah, that
Um,
seems to have clicked, eh?
yeah, yeah, he seems to have taken to that really well.
Yeah.
So, to be less than a second off the number one rider on a Yamaha, you know, in your first couple of outings, you know,
It's pretty good.
yeah,
It's pretty good.
yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
he
I think
just never really seemed to gel too well. Like, he was good on the Ducati, just on the KTM, he just never seemed to really gel with it from my observation. But it seems like he's jumped on this Yamaha and gone, oh wow, this thing I can ride.
well, that's what he said. He said the front end's different. He's got a lot of faith in it. But
Yeah,
what about Pedro Acosta? I think he's a dark horse. I reckon I got him
yeah.
down third.
I just worry for all the people in the KTM side of the paddock with the stuff that's going on. Like, how much money are they going to be prepared to pump into it? Like, that was one of the things I think became evident with the KTM last year is they basically stopped development halfway through the year, and that was like
Mhm.
one of Jack's big gripes was that you know they basically were riding around on a year-old package at the end of the year, whereas the other teams were still putting money in. So I don't know. I don't know. Pedro had a very similar sort of start to his MotoGP career as what he did with his Moto 2. Like, he was quick out of the gate and then sort of fell off. He did the similar thing in Moto 2, but then he came into the second season of Moto 2 and just absolutely smashed it. So,
That's why I think he's a dark.
yeah, yeah,
He's, he's young too.
yeah,
Hungary. He's the next. Kind of has a Mark Marquez view of things, I think, or approach.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I think, once again, you know, Bagnaia and Marquez are going to be at the front pokey end of the field the entire season. Yeah, it's unfortunate what happened to Martin. He's
Oh,
basically lost an entire testing season, really.
on a new bike.
Yeah, yeah. So he's going to struggle, I think, which is unfortunate because he's a phenomenal rider. Um, yeah, and who knows what's going to happen with the Yamahas this year? It seems that they've taken a pretty big step, based on their old model.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if that translates across to ASPK. I got to ask Mike about that. Are these bikes different or? and see how he goes because they're racing ASPK as well.
Yeah.
You see
Um,
I think the R1 is slightly different and it's got different aero and stuff like that.
yeah. Is it this year they got discontinued or last year? I can't remember. R1. It's basically just a. It's not a production bike anymore. It's just a.
Race bike.
Oh, I've got to go, George. I've got a fire call.
Okay. See you, mate.
All right.
Thanks for your time. Drive safe.
We can continue later if you want, but I've got to run.
All good. You go. Get on your Grom. Go to the
Yeah.
fire station. And,
Oh, I'm not dressed for the Grom, but
and safe travels down to the MotoGP, mate. The
all
World
right.
Superbike.
Thanks, mate.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
Bye.